Chapter 3, this is part 2 of Civil Liberties and Rights. Civil rights, we will really get into the nuts and bolts of things when it comes to this chapter and this topic. We will deal with political inequality, and it just talks about, how it deals with, when it comes to your race, gender, sexual orientation, marriage, education, and voting. All of those things, there are civil rights for all of those. And I will talk about the various amendments that have overturned a lot of things. But as you see, there still is a fight in today's society for overcoming those inequalities. I will share a video that talks about a civil rights hero who was Japanese American, and this was during the 1940s, just to let you know that even though I have this picture on the left that says we want white tenants in our white community, the case of race, and when it comes to racism, it is not just a black and white thing. It encompasses a lot of different ethnicities and races. And so I will show you quite a few short videos and talk about how it has impacted the various races, and of course in different ways. I'll show you something that deals with the slave trade. I will talk about boycotting and civil disobedience, and how the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act came about during the 60s. I'll talk about, and I'm pretty sure you guys have heard, just during the Black Lives Matter movement, Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'll share a video about that story. A little short one in Rosewood, Florida, and this is in the 20s, and moving up to the 40s, and in Columbia, Tennessee, Dr. Carol Anderson of Emory University tells an awesome story about what happened during this race riot. Also, I will show a short video about Mexican American racism, and then moving on to Native American, the indigenous racism, and invisible racism, which impacts Asian Americans. And then closing out, the case of race is dealing with white privilege in modern society. Then we will move on to the case of gender and how those inequalities come about, and the stereotypes and the biasness, and how women were seen as not equal when it comes to a man. It's particularly when it came to voting, and how suffrage had to be fought for. And following up, I will talk about equality and inequality and give you a little short video on that. So this concludes the overview of Chapter 3, Part 2. See you in class.